Angel Reese has had haters all year and supporters, but she's had a lot of people that feel like she is in a one-on-one competition with Caitlin Clark. Yeah. And so I feel like some people love Caitlin Clark, some people love Angel Reese, and a whole lot of people feel like they got to choose between the two. Well, she made the controversy even more controversial when she went on her live stream and she started talking about the WNBA, started talking about her career, started talking about money. And just a little bit of backdrop, a lot of people are saying that Angel Reese doesn't take the offseason serious, that she doesn't do what Caitlin Clark does. That Caitlin Clark is in the gym right now, and Angel Reese is outside, and she thinks she's better than the WNBA. And here's what she said, and here's how people responded.
Hand pays them bills, baby. I just hope y'all know the WNBA don't pay my bills at all. I don't even think that pays one of my bills. Literally. I'm trying to think of like my rent for where I stay at. I'm going to do the math real quick.
It might cover that. Yeah, it covers that. It definitely covers that.
What is my, I don't even know my salary. 74? Okay. Times. I love it. Yeah. Does it? You don't even. Yo, I'm living beyond my means. It's like, no, my rent is more than that. It's 8,000. I'm living beyond my means. Like y'all think, babe. If y'all thought, it's like.
So this got people upset. I mean, I had never seen so many tweets about somebody's rent before. When I saw $8,000 rent trending, I was trying to understand why, and then I backed into this story. Help me understand. First of all, and as we're watching this, the WNBA finals just ended. Game 4 just ended. It's now a 2-2 series, all tied up Minnesota in New York, and I'm excited because it was one of the second really game that was probably an all-time classic already, and this whole series has been amazing. So shout out to the WNBA women who are just making an amazing season this year. But people mad at Angel, Dr. Lindsey.
People stay mad at Angel, and I feel so big sister protective of her in a particular way, right? I do want to be big sister protective and also be like, girl, where you staying in Chicago? That's $8,000 a month. I would like to adjust that and have some different conversations about that, not based on her income, just based on the fact that Chicago does not require $8,000 a month rent.
I don't know Chicago, like, okay.
You have a great apartment, actually. Like, that felt very off to me. But beyond that, a lot of people are like, she's making a joke like, oh, living beyond my means or whatever. And she's very honest about what her salary is, right? She's saying I think it's actually around $76,000. So no, it's not paying her rent at that thing. She has endorsements. She's doing deals. She's doing this. She's showing up. She's doing appearances. She was recently featured with Asia Wilson on the cover of Wall Street Journal. This is a woman who is a brand that is one of the reasons, in addition, of course, to Caitlin Clark, that a lot of new fans have tuned in. We watched that LSU Iowa game.
But you watched it for Caitlin. Caitlin.
Well, as somebody who's been watching WNBA for years, that's not me. But I do think that there is that moment, the ring moment, when she does it in the face, right? When that final moment of that championship, that's such an important, and of course, one of the most watched college games of last year, right? Was their Final Four match. It wasn't not even just talking about the championship between South Carolina and Iowa last year. So Angel Reese is someone who is so visible. She is a celebrity. And we know for a number of athletes and a number of people, especially when we think about the salaries of the WNBA versus what other opportunities are there for them, she's making so much more money doing everything else. But also people like to pick at her. So they also just conveniently ignore the video when she's talking about getting up at 6:30 in the morning to go work out.
They're saying she's fiscally irresponsible, though. They're saying you don't have rent that's more than your base salary. And I'm watching all these sudden financial planners on Twitter.
I mean, which is ridiculous to me. Most people have to have rent in this country. I mean, we can talk about rent. We can talk about housing justice. We can have a whole conversation about that. Again, I think for the market, that feels a little high, but that's not even necessarily about what money she may or may not be bringing in. But I also think what they're really getting at is saying you aren't the kind of player that we want to get behind. You're setting this kind of example. You're at Meg's show. You're doing this. You're doing this.
Yes.
Interviewing global.
I'm hearing a lot of that.
There's a lot of noise around her. Mind you, her season ended a while ago, right? The Chicago Sky was not in the playoffs this year. And so she's been out, and she was injured towards the end of the season.
Hurt her wrist.
Right? And she
let me bring Jameer in on this. Jameer. Yeah. I mean, you're another person I know whose rent is higher than your salary. So
stop pocket watching me. You don't know what's happening.
I'm pocket watching everybody.
Don't pocket watch me.
I'm pocket watching everybody. That's what seemed. I thought we weren't supposed to pocket watch, but with Angel, it seems like everybody's very comfortable pocket watching. And I gotta ask the why question of it all. What is the reason why people are so obsessed with this? I mean, rappers spend a lot of money. Mm-hmm. They have chains that cost more than their deals. And I've never heard anybody on Twitter say, I really wish they'd make more fiscally responsible. What's going on?
I think people, I've seen a lot more men into this conversation. I don't think a lot of men like women. I think a lot of men are, attracted to women, but I don't think a lot of men like women, like on a human level. And so when they see somebody who's like, see a woman who cocky, beautiful, out here balling and saying like, yo, the WNBA don't pay my bills, I gotta go outside and get money for it. Like, to me, I applaud that because she being honest. I wish we had more conversations around money and finances, like specifically in circles that I'm in, openness, because like it is true. She was like, I make $74,000 a year. All right, that don't cover my bills. Right? I've been downtown Chicago. First of all, I didn't know Chirac and Chicago were two different places, because downtown Chicago, all right, these people ain't even have blinds. I was looking all up in their windows, right next to the Gucci store, which is next to the Burberry store. It's like,
you was near a Gucci store?
No, I didn't go. I walked past though, and they had armed security out there. Like, it's very richy down there. So if she lived down there, I could understand. But I think overall, people just stop pocket watching. Like, she doing her thing. If she made enough as a whole, as a base income, she wouldn't have to be out here hustling and getting deals on the side. I mean,
to me, Treva, that's the more interesting question, right? Not why is her rent 8 times 12 is 90? Why is it 96? Why is her rent $96,000 a year and her salary? What'd you say was 70?
74. That's what she said. Yeah.
To me, the question is, if you are a professional basketball player, why is your salary $74,000? Now, some of y'all saying, why are you worried about them? There's teachers, there's lawyers, there's doctors. Sure. But there are billionaires who own these teams who are writing checks for not millions, but for tens of thousands to these players. And so it's a labor exploitation issue. Absolutely. I think everybody should make more, but
absolutely,
these players are absolutely being exploited. So to me, the question should be more of, why aren't the women making more, right? I'm sure Angel Reese just signed a Reese's Pieces deal, which is it's a great connection, right? So I know she's making money on brand deals, NIL. She's been making money since college. So the WNBA isn't her only source of income. But at the end of the day, why isn't what is the missing piece here around women's income?
I mean, women's income broadly. I mean, I think this goes back. I mean, Jameer made such a great point. There's such a distinct hatred for women, and specifically for Black women, and Black women who show up in the world in a particular way, right? Angel Reese shows up in she's period. Like, she shows up in the world in a certain way. And when you say cocky, like, she has bravado. She knows her value. And I think when you know your value in a system that is built around devaluing you, right? So even though salaries have gone up in the WNBA, let's be clear, the fact of the matter is they also expanded the number of games that they play, So game, they're not actually making significantly more. They just renegotiated TV rights and deals, but again, we're having the expansion of the league. We're seeing all of this come in. We're seeing the growth of the league, and the time will really tell pretty quickly what that means for these players, what that means for players who feel compelled and need to go play overseas because this is their skill set. This is their job. This is what they do to make money in order to make ends meet, to pay whatever their rent is or mortgage is or whatever bills they may have. And so we saw that, of course, in the very, 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 very tragic case of Brittany Griner.
Yes.
Who was playing in Russia. But most of our WNBA folks we know by name go play overseas after the season here ends and get paid significantly more. And so we have to be honest about the system of exploitation that's been set up here and advocate alongside workers across the board. Think about WNBA players as workers as we're thinking about these different labor movements that are happening right now and saying, you mad she got different hustles so she can pay her bills? That's really weird. How we advocate so people only need a job, right, to get things. I want a universal basic income personally, but
now you're talking.
Yeah.
For us to have a space in which everybody is working one job with dignity, with healthcare that's not attached to your job, with all of these things that come with that. And that's not what we have. And we know women are disproportionately in extractive and exploitative jobs that are underpaid and undervalued.
There's another piece here to this, Jameer, which is the bigger narrative of Angel Reese as being framed as unserious.
Mm-hmm.
Angel Reese is unserious. I heard somebody say the other day when they saw Angel Reese at the game. She was at a game or a party or some shit she was at, and she was outside. Is the point? And somebody was like, "Caitlin Clark's in the gym right now." I'm like, "How the fuck do you know where Caitlin Clark is?" Now, I might be the world's biggest Caitlin Clark fan. I love Caitlin Clark.
I can tell.
Yeah, I think she's a generational talent.
She is.
No,
I think, yeah, I mean, she's special. It's just, we should be able to have that conversation, but also have this conversation about all these other amazing talents. But it feels like whenever a white person or a non-black person shows up in sports, we got to create these narratives that they're unique and unicorns and special. I remember when Jeremy Lin, I mean, you're from New York, unfortunately. Like, you remember when Jeremy Lin popped up, and I remember they started talking about Jeremy Lin, like he goes into, at halftime, he goes back and watches the footage of the game to see where he went wrong. Like, what you think the other dudes is? You know, like Carmelo was shooting dice back there? Like, they all watch it. Everybody watches the game. You know what I mean? At halftime, like, I don't understand. But they had to make Jeremy Lin like, he's different, right?
Yeah.
In the gym. Angel Reese is in the gym every day.
Yeah.
She was literally doing drills with her other hand when she hurt her wrist.
Yeah.
Ending her season. So this idea that she is different, right? Caitlin Clark is different. Why we got to do that all the time?
I think it's well, let me just say this. First of all, when you did live in New York, you drove them prices up, okay? Gentrifier. I said it. And I mean,
lived in the Fort. You lived in
the Fort Greene
high-rise.
Don't do that.
I was my high-rise and saw the Fort Greene project. All I saw was urban despair. I was
privileged.
Literally.
Don't make me, Dr. Hill, do not make me go on X. Do not make me go on Twitter or Instagram and blow your whole spot. Let's not do this.
All I'm saying is that I was I'm a black person moving to a black area.
Let's stop.
Stop.
Right near Bernard King and Little Anthony from Little Anthony in the Imperials.
Please stop. I just want you to cut it out. All right? You cut it out.
You didn't just pull Dave Coulier in.
I sure did post Dave Coulier.
Wow.
Okay. Now, what I was going to say, I think that like history is cyclical. Like, we've been here with the NBA in the 80s. Like, Larry and Magic saved the league, but we're not going to act like race wasn't involved. We're not going to act like Showtime Lakers weren't called cocky and, arrogant and ball. They were ruining the game, and the way that Larry played the game was so pure. And, race has always been a
Larry Bird was a bad motherfucker.
I would never say he wasn't. Caitlin Clark is a bad motherfucker.
She reminds me of Larry Bird.
Huh? I mean,
Bird.
which is like what we're seeing. We're seeing a great white hope kind of trope being put on Caitlin Clark. She can do no wrong. She drinks milk in the morning. Whole milk. Yeah, I'm sure. But that don't mean that like Angel Reese is outside shooting dice. That was good. Like she's shooting CeeLo. You know what I'm saying? These women are young women. First of all, one in, I don't know the odds, but they in the WNBA. You know, they're on a national platform. They're literally being touted as the people who are pulling up the WNBA. Like, can we get a little grace? Why can't Angel Reese go to a Megan Thee Stallion show? That don't mean she can't get rebounds. Like
I can. James Harden goes to little baby shows. He brings them $100,000. He brings them honey buns.
James Harden shows up to practice and games barrel chested every year, and nobody says anything to him.
And AI been partying since day one.
He's been partying
outside with AI back in the in the early aughts and in the late 90s.
Nobody says anything. Nobody says anything about like Dennis Rodman is like Dennis Rodman said, yo, during the playoffs, hey, look, actually, I need to go to Vegas for 48 hours real quick to get there. Literally. And he went, and Phil Jackson was like, all right, come on back. Will you come on back? And he played amazing. You telling me like on an off season, it's a problem if I got, whatever kind of deals and I'm going to whatever kind of shows.
Do we just not want to see women outside? Do we just not want to see women outside? I mean,
people don't like black women. The doctor just said it. People don't like them. They don't like them. It's the truth. It's sad, but it's the truth. Like if we break it down to a real level, people don't like them. They don't like women who are confident. People don't like confident women. People don't like women who are outspoken. And like Doctor said, specifically black women. So this is not surprising. You got somebody who's like, I got standards. I know who I am. I'm gonna get my money. And you know what? This bag it's not doing what it need to do for me. So I'm outside getting other money. Right. And I'm still talented and a generational player as well.
I don't know if I call her a generational player, but I agree with everything else you said. And I love Angel Reese. I think she's phenomenal. And she's a lot better than I thought she'd be. Her adjustment to the WNBA was pretty extraordinary to me. I mean, she's already become maybe the best rebounder in the history of the league.
That says generation to me.
Would you call Dennis Rodman a generational player?
I think he was. Yeah, because I think he changed the way even rebounding looked. Like rebounding wasn't sexy. He was getting 24 rebounds a game. That's generational to me.
Okay, that's fine.